All right, so this is GBO Business Mentoring, Module 5, the Customer Factory. Now, the Customer Factory is called many things, but ultimately, it's a process where you have predictable, sustainable prospects coming in that you turn into customers, whether it's for your own business or for your client. So what is a customer factory by definition? Well, it's a factory that keeps creating customers without worrying about where they're coming from. It's about having a set, let's say, fishing net that is spread out so that you do less work and you get more customers. Obviously, one of the easiest ways is through referrals, but a customer factory is you're manufacturing customers day after day, week after week, and month after month. So another name for the customer factory is called the Predictable Sales Canvas. Now, you'll see the word canvas many, many times when we're training. And what does canvas mean? It means that it's on one page. It's a canvas like a canvas for a painting or a canvas for a vision board. So it's a single page. I like customer factory versus the predictable sales canvas. And so that's what we're going to call it. Now, if you're a dentist, how do you create a customer factory? Well, you can belong to Business Network International, set up by Ivan Misner, Dr. Ivan Misner. You can go to a group meeting every week. You can have a consumer awareness guide that you put online, consumer awareness, where let's say it's seven things you need to know before you sit in a dental chair, you know. So a consumer awareness guide is differentiating you as a dentist from other dentists. A network nest, what is that? That means that an endodontist or an oral surgeon or a plastic surgeon or other medical professionals in your nest of referrals, you go out and they refer you. So that's what a network nest is. And then Chamber of Commerce. Here in the United States, we have what's called Chambers of Commerce in each city. And if a dentist is the only one who is promoting themselves, or maybe there are many others, the one who markets the best usually wins. All right, what about a coach? So a coach's client factory is a manifesto video. What is that? That means, what do you believe in? Why is your coaching different than other coaches? For GBO, we deal with counterintuitive, low-cost strategies to build your digital marketing business. So a manifesto video is usually, I like to have it under 5 minutes, and it's your manifesto of what you represent. An online intake. In the last week, I got one $100,000 client and three $30,000 clients. How did I get them? Well, I belong to a mastermind. They went to an intake. Sandra did the preliminary, interview, and then they came to me, and then they said yes. Mastermind groups. Well, why is a mastermind group so important? Well, first of all, it's expensive. So I belong to one that's $30,000 a year. I belong to another one that's $25,000 a year. But at both of them, I've already gotten back the money that I've spent because I've made an impact on the people who attend without poaching, without stealing. They want something that I have, which is repurposing. And so people have come to me. And although it's a big investment, you get connected to people who are not only capable of paying high ticket, but are capable of doing what you need them to do in order to succeed. And then a weekly Facebook Live, that's our Friday Live that I've been doing for the past 5 years. We had one today, we will have one next Friday, and a weekly show, whether it's a podcast or a Facebook Live. If it's important to have a video so that you can pull the audio and the written repurposing transcripts. So those are ways as a coach to build your business. Now, question, why is a customer factory critical? Well, without a customer factory, you have no business. Without a customer factory, it doesn't matter how efficient your business is running. There's no one who's paying you in order to sustain that business. So the factory, as it relates to customers, is an ongoing, sustainable process like manufacturing new customers that come again and again and again. Many business owners who don't have a customer factory already set up will not make it, and they'll go out of business. And 80% of most small businesses go out of business in less than 5 years. All right. The answer to why it's important is a customer flow. A flow of customers makes the business more predictable. And when you're coaching people with GBO or any other coaching you do in business, especially in this environment, if people can't predict, if people can't anticipate new customers coming in again and again and again, they don't have to be a lot, but they're ideal prospects for you to convert them, then you don't have a business. And most people don't think about that. They think about their offer. They think about the product. They think about their brand, but not how to develop an ongoing flow of customers that are coming in. So the next question is, how can a customer factory be built in 4 simple steps? All right, step 1, and this is your template, which you have on your Facebook group. Number 1, there's a triggering event. So that could be an intake, that could be a meeting at an event like I had. I went to an intensive for War Room, which is a mastermind. I had a triggering event where someone asked me, hey, could you coach me? So we explored that. A triggering event is something that triggers the process for the customer to say yes. Now, ask yourself, what's your triggering event? Whatever business you're in, if you're just coaching for GBO, what's the triggering event for someone to come in and say yes? What's the triggering event for you to renew their membership? So if they're going to renew for another 6 months, what's the triggering event? Well, the triggering event for me is in the customer value journey. When they're excited, you say, well, if you'd like to continue for another 6 months, we'll talk about it next time we meet. That's a triggering event. That's persuasion. Now, key point, triggers is if you're doing real estate and you're selling a home, usually what motivates people to buy or to sell is a divorce, a death, high debt, any kind of disease. Someone has a disease and they're going into the hospital. They need to sell the home or they need to buy a home. Or disillusionment. Those are the 5 Ds of triggering events. This is something you want to take note of, and I want you to memorize this. Divorce, death, debt, disease, and disillusionment. Disillusionment means they're unhappy because something is happening, like they just got fired or they're in transition. Key point, seek the prospect who is in transition. When you have someone in transition, they're moving from one thing to another. Think of your own life. When you're in transition, you're most likely to want to make a change, because if you're in transition, you're already in change. You're already changing from one thing to another. Think about how you got to Guerrilla Business Intensive. Were you in transition? What happened to get you there? What happened to get you to Millionaire Mind Intensive? What happened for you to say yes and get Quantum Leap or go to GBI? Most of you went to GBI, and that's how we met. So transition, and anyone in that transitional period is the most likely and the most motivated to say yes for coaching. Now, for triggering events, review the before-after matrix, which you already know. That was another module. So what was their life before? What was it like? What did they have before? What was the average day? Who or what is the common enemy? Go back to that before and after matrix. And I got the general before and after matrix already from all of you, and I'm going to study it over the weekend and see how well you did. Step 2 is requesting action. So it's not enough to give people advice. It's not enough to give and identify the problem so that you can find the solution. You got to request an action. The action can be an ethical bribe for an infographic, a checklist. The action can be a 4-part video series like marketingonlinementor.com. The action can be a review and a rating on iTunes like I do with All Selling Aside. You have to request an action so that people know what to do next. So for requesting an action, you can do it via mobile, like I do every single Friday, email, a phone number, right? Calling a phone number. Mobile is texting, but a phone number is actually calling that number. Going into a Facebook group like MVP, which is Master Virtual Presenter. Engage with an intake, such as marketingonline.com/intake, where they're spending time in answering questions, or a trial, such as ClickFunnels for 2 or 3 weeks. So these are actions where people are prospects, but they're becoming closer to be clients. The key point is that time, the time duration, is best if under 10 minutes for something they're consuming. So many times you've probably seen infographics which have tiny, tiny type. You can't even read it, especially on your mobile phone. If they can consume your lead magnet or ethical bribe in under 10 minutes, that is the best way to have them move forward. Most all of my lead magnets can be consumed in less than 10 minutes, whether they're persuasive selling sentences, whether it's the repurposing roadmap, if it's the Cartesian quadrants. Probably the one that takes the most time are the persona quadrants, you know, the 4 personas: competitive, spontaneous, humanistic, and methodical. But it's interesting. So I love it on one page. That's a canvas, and the key is to have it on one page. The headline templates is 2 pages, but it can be consumed in less than 10 minutes. So step 3, the ideal sales conversation. Now, what's an ideal sales conversation? There's a moment when you're having a sales conversation with someone, and that's what it is. It's not a sales presentation, it's a sales conversation where you're dialoguing. What are you saying? What objections are you anticipating? What questions are you answering? What offer are you making? How are you doing it? So the more sales conversations you have, the more money you make. Now, if it's through one of my students and you're renewing someone, there are coaches right now watching that have a better ideal sales conversation than others. So watching what they do and modeling what they do will increase your revenue. Leo comes to mind. He's good at converting an existing coaching client into an ongoing coaching client. So for the ideal sales conversation, make your offer the next obvious step. So if they're not complete, if they still have a way to go, then having them coach with you for another 6 months or a total of 12 sessions, right? Twice a month, then that's an ideal sales conversation. And I want you to know that when you renew someone for $1,000, you make a lot more money than I do. Why? So that you make more money. Like, you know what you're making, right? Well, think about what I'm making. There's still paying Michelle. There's still support. There's a credit card fee. So if you get them to $1,500 for GBO, then you'll make an additional 10% on what you're making. If you get them to $2,000 for 6 months, you'll make an additional 20%. Why? Because you're upselling them, but you are making more money than I am. And I want you to look at it as a business, because if you don't think about it from my point of view and your point of view, then you're not building the business. You are making more money as we go through the coaching when you renew. If you're selling for $1,000, $1,500, we're making about the same. $2,000, I make a little more, right? So think about that. And I challenge you to find any other organization that'll pay you more than they make. I do it deliberately so that you're incentivized to make the most money possible. The key point is spend 80% on point A, where your client is, where the member is right now. And then spend 20%, 80% on where they are, 20% on where they want to be. So they want to make a certain amount of money. Okay, great. But where are you right now? It's easier to enroll them into the next 6 months if you focus on point A than to focus on the possibility of point B. And then finally, the purchase. When they finally say yes, many people have a problem asking for the order. Many people have a problem actually taking the money, but without the purchase, there is no customer. There is no sale. There is no additional revenue. So make sure that you make it relational. It's about the relationship and not transactional. I know several mentors for GBO have renewed twice and 3 times versus just once. That's a relationship. That's not a transaction. The key point is the purchase is not a win. It's a celebration. It's not about you winning the sale. It's celebrating that they are continuing. And I think the most important thing is when you first coach with someone, whether it's a GBO business client or it's a GBO client from GBI, is the first experience is the most vulnerable experience. I remember I was hired by a very high-end salon in Beverly Hills 25 years ago. It's called Umberto's. I think it's still there. They do the hair and the face for all the Academy Awards people. You know, they have a lot of celebrities. But the challenge was, and Umberto, that's his name, he reached out to me because, you know, he knew a little bit about my reputation. And he said, you know, I have a lot of people who come in once, but they don't come back. You know, how come? I said, I don't know. Let me observe it. I have no idea why. So I went in there and I watched. And I watched, they're mostly women, like 90%, 95% were women. They would go in there and they're getting a $350 haircut. They're getting a $550 US facial. Can you imagine? Coloring hair over $1,000. And the problem was they're serving champagne and, you know, everybody's happy and they're all friendly. But there were these little groups of ladies who didn't approach the new ladies who came in. Now, the new ladies who came in were treated very well by the service professional doing the hair or the face or whatever they were doing, but they weren't part of the community. They felt left out, and I could tell just by watching. So I told Umberto, I said, all right, anytime you have a first-time client, like they're coming in for the first time, they're spending a lot of money, they have wealth, but they won't come back unless they feel they belong. So I noticed that you have black smocks. The smock is what they put over their clothes so that they don't get their clothes wet and they don't get the hair coloring, on their clothes, and they stay clean. I said, why don't you put a pinstripe, a white pinstripe, on all the first-time customers? It'll still be black, but there'll be a very thin pinstripe, and tell your entire team of employees that when they see women with the pinstripe, to walk up and say, oh, it's your first time, welcome. I'm so glad you made it. Or the other women who were customers, some of whom were customers for 4 or 5 years, they'd walk up to the people with the pinstripes and saying, hey, welcome, honey, welcome. It's so good to see you, blah, 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 blah. And they felt like they belonged. That simple thing, just by marking that smock for the first time, which you can do any kind of consulting with a salon, near you, that one strategy made a huge impact, and it allowed Umberto to have that first-time visitor come again and again and again because they felt like they belonged. Now, a case study. First-time visitors to a beauty salon, that's the strategy that I did. They have a different color smock, or they have a different looking smock, so everyone knows it's their first time, because you can't keep track. Like, you don't know who's there for the first time, but that first visit is the most vulnerable. First-time Uber driver. So I was with someone going to the airport just recently, and if I'm in a car with an Uber driver for the first time, this person, she was a woman, and it was an Uber X, which is a little bigger car. She was having a conversation with me, and she gave me her card, and she said, if you'd like me to pick you up when you get back, let me know. And I said, are you open to feedback? She said, sure. I said, great. You're moving too quickly with me. There are stages of intimacy. If you go to Google and you look up the 12 stages of intimacy, there's a book written about that. It's no different in business. I mean, if you go too fast, then you're going to lose interest in someone. With, relational intimacy, a man may get slapped in the face, a man may be ignored, and vice versa. So in business, it's the same thing, but you never know if you exceeded the boundaries of how fast you went. So I said, would you be open to, giving you a script on how to make sure that you keep customers to come back to you again and again? She said, sure. I said, great. So I told her, when they come in, tell them to put their seatbelt on, because it's important to be safe. And then ask them if they have any children, or if they're married or divorced, so that they're being safe, and they'll still be alive if they get into an accident. I told her to make sure that they know that Uber insures them in case they get into an accident. So if something does happen, Uber is liable, not the passenger. And then I told her to give them some tips on how to get the best Uber drivers and what to look for. I told her, if you have water, offer water to them. And then 5 minutes before the ride is over, then you tell them, hey, if you'd like to ride with me again, there's a way to do it. And here are the steps to do that. And I hope that our paths cross again soon. So that is the sales conversation that I recommended to her. And so she said that, she would attempt it. I don't know how it went because I didn't give her my phone number, but that's the way to do it. And she has clients where they only have her drive them. She picks up dinners for them, like Chinese chicken salad for one of the guys. And she picks up snacks. One other guy always wants a beer when, he's going back from the airport. So she goes the extra mile, but because her sales conversation was too forward, I told her that she would lose people. So for an Uber driver, there's a way to do it. Just like for a coach, the best time to start enrolling them for the next 6 months is not the final session, but the second to the final session. Another case study, Rudy's Austin Barbecue. Now we have In-N-Out Burger here in California. And In-N-Out Burger is known for a very simple menu. You have a single patty, you have a double patty, you have a single with cheese, a double with cheese, and then there's this code that people have who go in there. Well, Rudy's is like In-N-Out Burger for barbecue in Texas. Very basic, and they give you samples of the brisket or the turkey or the sausage. And when you come in for the first time, you're a virgin to Rudy's. So everybody starts, screaming and hollering and saying, welcome, right? And they did that for us. I went with a friend after the War Room Mastermind. That is a great first-time experience because they're making a big deal for the first timer. Now, the key point here is that persuasion, which is what that is, leads to ideal sales conversations. So by not persuading, by persuading clients, customers, patients, members, then it's a lot easier to enroll someone without rejection. And the key point here is anticipated objections are preventing rejection. If you anticipate the objections that you get, if you know that there's a list of objections you typically get why people are not saying yes, you anticipate and then you respond, it will prevent rejection, sales rejection, so that you can protect your confidence. All right, let's go to all of you and raise your hand for questions or clarifications you want. Jackie, who's showing up as Michelle.
Thank you. Alex, when you said earlier that most of your lead trims are under 10 minutes, with all selling aside, do you see that as a lead magnet, or is that something that clients really come into once they've engaged with you in other ways?
Okay, so if I understood the question, keeping the sales conversation under 10 minutes is what I recommend, and all selling aside is over 25 minutes. What's the difference? All selling aside is not a sales conversation. All selling aside is a subscription to 25 minutes of marketing know-how over the course of 25 years of trial and error. So that's not the same thing as getting someone in. Now, even though it's free, when they're listening to All Selling Aside, they're either a subscriber or they're thinking about becoming a subscriber. So that's different than an ideal sales conversation. Now, within All Selling Aside, I do have 2 sales conversations. I take them to Scipio, which is an affiliate relationship I have. I take them to Marketing Online Mentor in recent episodes, which leads to, well, actually, it got me a $100,000 client recently. So for the podcast, because it's content, it's 25 minutes. Usually it's not over 25 minutes. Sometimes I go to 30 minutes, and other times I'm between 20 and 25 minutes, but it's not the same thing as an ideal sales conversation. Although I have at least a 2 or 3 minute conversation to generate sales at the beginning and at the end. Who else?
Right, thank you.
Leo?
I am just want to identify exactly, Alex, what is a sales conversation. So can you explain a little bit more about this principle?
A sales conversation is a conversation to make a sale. So when your intention is to convert someone from a prospect to a buyer, that's an ideal sales conversation. What do you say? What do you do? When is it? What's the privileged moment that is allowing you to get there? That's an ideal sales conversation. Who else? Going once, going twice. This will be the shortest module we have. This is good. Okay, so in the Facebook group, you have the slide deck, which, lucky enough for Jack, he found out because he was awake at the time when I posted it. And then you have the 4 steps of the predictable sales canvas, which I'm calling the customer factory. Imagine you're manufacturing customers again and again. If customers come in without you having to work, like for example, if you belong to a network within the wedding niche, so let's say 50% of your business is about weddings and you're a florist. So how do you create a customer factory? Well, number one, you could go to churches and synagogues and make them aware that you do the floral displays. You can be part of the wedding mafia, which is the tuxedo store, the bridesmaid store, where they get their dresses, the bakery, who's baking the cake, where the reception is, and all the other parts of what makes a wedding possible. The wedding planner. So that's creating a customer factory. If you're a wealth advisor, then you could connect with certified public accountants. You could connect with attorneys who could refer people to you. You could have people who are in the, what else? Attorneys, CPAs, enrolled agents, people who do tax preparation here in the United States. So they could be referring people to you and you refer people to them. That's creating a customer factory without having to buy ads. Most people are afraid of creating the customer factory. Most people don't even focus on creating the customer factory, but without having a factory of customers coming to you again and again, you're out of business completely. So it's important for you to think about that, not only for the members and clients that I'll send you through GBO, but for your own business, because you don't do GBO exclusively. So it's something to think about. All right, who else? Otherwise, we'll do the final word. All right, awesome. Final word, Diana.
Transition.
Transition. Very powerful market. Jack.
Insights. Learn
Insight.
something about this particular 4 steps.
When you're selling, when you're selling a high-end client, there is a mindset that they're in for them to even talk to you. The more transitional they are, the more in change that they are, the more likely it is that you'll enroll them. So you want to really focus on that because most people are afraid of change, although it's happening all the time. Justina, our super salesperson, 1,500. Yes.
Thank you. So mine will be implementation.
Implementation. Okay. Leo.
Enrolling.
What is it?
Enrolling.
Enrolling. Yeah, you're good at that. And I'm going to put you on, Leo, because we're ending early, and I want you to give a little mini class on how you enroll students who have been with you for a while. Let's go to Jackie. Don't call me Michelle. Opie.
Me, it's Roy.
What is it?
Roy.
One more time.
Roy.
Growth.
GRO. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. And Zita. It's good to see Zita not falling asleep, you know, having matchsticks on her eyelids. That's good. What's your word?
Journey.
Ernie, share with everyone. I'm going to put you on the big screen. You reached out to me, and tell them what you asked and tell them what I said.
I got a request from an old friend of mine who have started a business in Hungary selling food supplements. If I could give him marketing advice, and I got into a situation where they are starting out, absolute startups, and they have to be responsible for all the spendings, where they put the money and what they invest in, because they have to take care of manufacturing and inventory management, etc. And
Okay, time out.
Yeah.
Is that Zita's problem?
No.
No, it's not Zita's problem. And the fact
I
that
know.
they're starting out, does that have any influence on Zita's fee or rate to get paid?
It shouldn't.
What's
Yeah.
the answer? It should.
It's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not
But
my problem.
when Zita's thinking with her heart and not with her head, then she says, okay, I'll do it. Now, if I said, okay, yeah, go for it, then I'm taking you down the wrong direction enthusiastically. What did I say to you?
You said don't make it as a habit to work for free for anyone. So, because what they want is me to give advice for future gratification, and they would be happy to take me into the company and give percentage of this and commission like percentage success fee on the sales growth, anything. But not to have to pay at the moment, because they have to watch out for their expenses. This
Right.
is normal. Like if I would, the problem is that I have always been an entrepreneur where we invested our own money and we worked for future gratification. So this is my comfort zone. I know exactly how it works. And I just simply found myself in this world of, yeah, you have to wait for something to bring results. It might bring me a lot of money in the future. So I just wanted to ask you whether, how should I set the terms in order to show the value of my share?
And my answer was get paid.
Immediately, right?
Immediately. It's not your responsibility to
Yeah.
take the risk with them. So the absolute arrogance and entitlement of that expectation, you don't want me to talk to them because they'll never do business in the future. The absolute arrogance of that request and expectation is beyond anything I could ever think of, right? So they're starting up. That's their issue, not yours. You get paid no matter what. And the only time any of you would take a percentage is with a sure thing, with a company that's already making money And in most cases, they'll pay you outright because they'll have a lower expense than paying you percentage. So no one here needs to take a risk. And have I done it before? Of course I have. Will I do it again? No, I will not. If someone asks me, should I do it? I say, no, don't. Because the moment you say yes, then it's a crack in the dam, and the dam holds back water. One little crack, the dam explodes. So I don't know if you're going to follow my recommendation, but my recommendation is no way.
I'm going to meet them tomorrow. So yeah, it's my turn.
Okay, good. You can tell them the one thing that you have with me is you have a predictable cost every month for 3 months, but I'm not going to take the risk with you. That's not my job. So try again.
Thank you.
Okay, good. I mean, when I give advice like that, then, you know, Sandra gives me feedback. Oh, why do you have to be that way? That's the way to be. That's the way. All right, who else?
Yeah.
All right, Leo, how do you enroll new people? Let's go.
Okay, guys, so I will give you, as an example, the after GBI that we have done, and the enrolling everyone. So I don't know if you guys remember well, we, Alex, have done a Facebook Live from the stage, the first Facebook Live, really live from the stage, and we broadcast for a bunch of people. We have a lot of exposure, almost 500 shares, organically 25,000 views. And then I start after GBI, we receive our list to contact people. And after done with my list, I start to enroll those people who share that Facebook Live during the event. First of all, the Facebook Live was approved that they was in the event. Second, the share button is the most important button in the internet. So when they share, they really appreciate, they want that in their timelines, in their groups, in their Facebook page or whatever. And let me see what I have here. And then I start to do NPS. So I watched the last GBO module that Alex have done last week with you guys. And he talked about this document, which is the NPS document. Are you guys familiar with this? Yes? No?
NPS is Net Promoter Score. It's the ultimate question. And you'll notice that Leo is doing a lot of persuasion. He's planting a lot of seeds. So more seeds, less rejection.
Yes. So I remember Alex talking about the module 4 of the GBO Business Mentoring. You go to marketingonline.com/UQ and you will see this powerful, very powerful document. And then I start to reach out for those people asking about GBI. So between how likely you would recommend GBI for your friends and colleagues. And they give me an answer. And then I keep following the script. And I was starting, in my point of view, Alex, starting a sales conversation there. Is that right?
It is right, but here's the thing. In the customer value journey, you want to ask the ultimate question when they're at excitement. You don't want to ask them at the wrong time. So when they're excited, when they've had a breakthrough, when they've had the wow or aha moment, that's when you ask them, because that's the orgasm of business. It's the heightened energy where they're going to be more susceptible and more willing to give you a referral because they're excited. But if you ask at the wrong time, if they're struggling or they feel stuck or their energy is low, that's not when you ask them. You ask them when they're at excitement. And look at the customer value journey. you'll see that I believe it's stage 5 in the customer value journey. You can look it up, on Facebook. Leo, go ahead.
Okay, so after that, is that Tuesday? Let me remember. I don't remember the dates in GBI Amsterdam or the event in Europe, but considering the GBI finish on Sunday, ask them in Tuesday is a good moment or is a better moment?
I think that's a good moment because Monday is Unplugged Day, right?
Exactly. So was exactly what I thought when they are excited. For some reason, some of the people that I call it already purchased the GBO program or WCS program. And the others, I start to talk with them and understand what happened. And I can tell you 2 days later, they was a lot of them. I call a lot, so I prospect them. I see then how they share the live, visit the profile, you make their conversation with them, talking to them that I am a mentor from Alex Mendoza, and I was looking forward to talk with them. And then after 2 days, I believe, I don't remember the numbers, but I believe some of them was able to join the group and start in the beginning of the mentoring. Others reach out to me later, showing interest, and then we start a conversation also, even though they will start later the GBO program. So that pretty worked for myself.
Okay, yeah, and you notice he's just having a conversation. When you're having a conversation with someone, you're in their world. You're dialoguing with them. So it's not a sales pitch, which is a monologue one way. It's a conversation. I think I'm the only trainer in the world who asks the students at GBI, is that this is my offer. And then they say, is that the best you can do? And then I keep going. And it's a dialogue. And what's nice about it, it gives me a break. They have fun with it, especially in India, because scarcity is very difficult with Indians because they believe in many, lifetimes. So running to the back, they go, why do I have to run now? I'll go in the next lifetime. I don't have to go right now, right? So it's very difficult for them. Maybe the Tibetans are the same thing. But having that dialogue is a conversation. And, ABC in the United States for sales training is always be closing. I don't believe in always be closing. It's always be connecting. Always be connecting. If it's not them, then who? And if they're not the right fit, you ask them, well, who do you know who would be a good fit for this? And they'll say, what about me? And my response is, well, what's the number one reason why you wouldn't say yes? And they think about it, and they give you their big no. Why wouldn't you ask them that? What's the number one reason why you wouldn't say yes? And they say, well, it's the money. And then I ask them, is it the cost or is it the price? Now, a price they pay once. $1,500, $1,000, $2,000. That's the price. The cost is ongoing, as in the cost of inaction. If they didn't do it, then what are they going to do? What's the cost of not taking action and moving forward? They're in momentum. Even if they took a month off, even if it's a little bit, uncomfortable paying, at least they're maintaining momentum. And here's what I want all of you to do from now on. I want you to have your clients, the members that I send you, to show you their schedule. And I want all of our members for GBO to have at least 1 hour of prime time. At least one. Don't believe them. I want them to show you their schedule. My preference is 2 hours. But if they show you their schedule, and then you say, okay, so between 8 and 9, Krakow time, that's in Poland, that's your prime time. Yes? Yes. That means if someone calls you or you have a Facebook notification or you have a text or you have a phone call, that means you're not going to be answering, correct? Yes, that's correct. Great. And then you attempt to get a hold of them. And the moment they answer the phone, you say, WTF, which stands for what the fuck? Why are you answering my call? Because it's you, Alex. No. This is your sacred time. This is your prime time. So if you're a $30,000 student of mine, that's the first thing I would do. Jack, I'm waiting still. Now, for those of you who are near Australia, I'm doing a deep dive at Sandra's place with a $100,000 client. I'm going to charge Aussies $1,000 to watch it so I make more money. But all of you are welcome to attend for free. So if you wanted to watch it and get there, I mean, Jackie and Michelle obviously have an advantage because they're very close. But watching what a deep dive session looks like and what I put people through, then that sets them up for the next, in this case, the next year. I wasn't going to take on $100,000 clients anymore because it's a lot of work. But this one was exceptional because she was denied by a friend of mine for a $50,000 mastermind because my friend felt that she wasn't, she didn't qualify, that she had the wrong attitude. So of course that pissed me off. And I said, all right, well, don't tell anyone we're working together, but we're going to do the 100K program and we'll do it for a year. So if she says yes, I just sent her the letter of engagement, then I'm going to ask you, all of you, to reach out to her and welcome her because she's a single mom and she's going all in, and she's a healer. But everything begins with the deep dive. So now I'm going to sell tickets for people to come and watch the deep dive. All right, who else has a question? Otherwise, we'll do final word. All right. Who else? I didn't ask Diana. Did I ask you final word?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was transition.
Who didn't I ask yet? Raise your hand if I didn't ask you yet. Okay, I asked everybody. My final word is proud. I'm proud of you. This is not easy. We're going to continue to go and grow. And you're getting a $250,000 MBA education for, I don't know what you paid, but whatever it is, I know it was affordable, and I'm proud that you continue to go. I love it when I see Jack tell you that we just posted something. I love that because he's got your back and something was just posted. Most of you were sleeping at the time, but it's really hard for me because you think these cards are easy to do. I mean, they're not easy. I got to think about what I'm writing, and there are a lot of cards here, and this is number 5. We got one more. Go back to the original curriculum. Look at the curriculum pyramid so that you get a sense of what we're teaching, and that is your roadmap to coach these business people. Remember, everyone you're going to coach, everyone you're going to mentor is more successful than you are, is wealthier than you are, has more experience than you do, but they can't read the label from inside the jar. So I want you to be able to deal with that. And the reason I keep bringing it up is because you don't get to have that as an issue for you. You don't get to have that self-esteem issue. I'm warning you way in advance. All of them are going to be more successful than you. Why would you coach them? Every coach I know, whether it's a musician, a sports coach, a business coach, every coach, the people they coach are more successful than they are. So it's not just about inner game like GBO now. It's also about these tools that I want you to learn and refine and memorize, because in most cases, they have never seen them. They have never seen the customer value journey. And you will learn more by coaching them, and you will learn and help your own business grow than you would ever do in the past. And you get paid more for it because I'm charging more for it. So onward and upward. Are we good?
Yeah.
All right. Europeans, go to bed. Jack, thank you. And whoever else, who is this over here? Who's in the dark? I don't know, but I'm assuming it's Jackie. I will see you the next time we meet. I'm leaving for Australia next Friday, so I don't know when we meet next, but let's see. Next time we meet will be a while from now. So I don't know when, but I'll probably be teaching you from Australia. So I'll be on a plane during this time frame. So if you wouldn't mind, Diana, if you would get the audio to everybody of this, that would be super cool, because Michelle's not here.